Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Life has a way of testing you, pushing you, isolating you. Sometimes you find yourself walking this road alone. No friends, no shoulders to lean on, no one calling, checking in, asking how you're doing. And for a woman in this world, that can feel like the hardest battle of all. But hear me when I say this. That does not mean you are weak. That does not mean you are forgotten. It means you are being prepared. Strength is built in solitude. Diamonds are made under pressure. And the woman who walks alone, she don't walk lonely. She walks powerful. Because when the world turns its back on you, that's when you learn to stand on your own 2 feet. That's when you discover who you really are. Solitude is often misunderstood. People equate being alone with being lonely, but there is a profound difference between the two. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness, of craving connection that isn't there, but solitude is a choice, a state of self-reflection, self-discovery, and personal growth. When a woman finds herself without friends, she isn't necessarily weak or forgotten. In fact, she may be in the most important phase of her life, one where she builds herself from the ground up without external influence. In a world that constantly pushes for social validation, being alone can feel like an anomaly. Society glorifies friendships, relationships, and networks, making it seem like the more people you have around, the more successful or happy you must be. But history, experience, and wisdom tell a different story. Some of the strongest, most influential people spent seasons of their lives in isolation. It was in those quiet moments, away from the noise, that they discovered their true purpose and built the resilience that later defined them. A woman without friends isn't a woman without value, she is a woman with an opportunity. She has the space to listen to her own thoughts, unfiltered and undiluted by the opinions of others. She has the chance to grow in ways that people, constantly surrounded by distractions, never do. There is an immense power in sitting with yourself, facing your own fears, weaknesses, and strengths head on, and coming out stronger on the other side. When there is no one else to lean on, you learn to lean on yourself. You become your own motivator, your own supporter, your own voice of encouragement. That level of self-sufficiency is rare, and once it is developed, it becomes an unshakable foundation. Women who have gone through periods of solitude often emerge with a confidence that cannot be easily broken. They don't seek approval, they validate themselves. They don't wait for someone to push them forward, they take their own steps. Being without friends also removes the pressure of conforming. Too often, people shape themselves based on their social circles. They adopt opinions, habits, and even dreams that aren't truly their own, just to fit in. But a woman who stands alone has the freedom to define herself on her own terms. She can explore her true interests, make decisions that align with her personal values, and carve out a path that is uniquely hers. That kind of self-definition is powerful. Challenges come with solitude. There will be moments of doubt, moments where the silence feels too loud, where the absence of companionship feels overwhelming. But it is in those moments that true inner strength is built. The ability to sit in discomfort and push through it, to face adversity alone and not break, that is the kind of strength that no external validation can provide. Growth happens in the quiet. Think about nature. The strongest trees have roots that grow deep in the darkness of the earth before they ever break the surface. A woman without friends is in that stage of unseen growth. She is learning, adapting, strengthening her mind, and developing a level of resilience that many never will. When she finally steps into her power, when she finally emerges, she does so with a foundation so strong that nothing can shake her. The world respects a woman who knows who she is. A woman who doesn't desperately seek companionship or approval, but rather stands firm in her identity, draws the right kind of energy towards her. People are naturally drawn to confidence, independence, and self-sufficiency. The irony is that the moment a woman stops chasing friendships and starts embracing her own presence, The right people start appearing in her life, not because she needs them, but because she has become the kind of person who attracts authenticity. There is no denying that companionship and friendships are valuable, but they are not the foundation of a person's worth. A woman without friends is not incomplete. She is in a phase of transformation, a phase that, if embraced fully, will lead to a level of personal strength that is unbreakable. A woman who learns to be her own best friend unlocks a level of inner power that many never reach. Society often teaches us that we need others to complete us, to validate our feelings, to support us through hardships. While relationships and friendships are beautiful aspects of life, they are not the foundation of self-worth. A woman without friends is not lacking. She is in a position to cultivate the most important relationship she will ever have, the one with herself. When external voices fade away, a woman has the chance to truly hear her own thoughts. Without the influence of friends shaping her beliefs, decisions, or emotions, she gets to understand who she is at her core. This self-awareness is invaluable. It allows her to explore what truly makes her happy, what dreams are genuinely hers, and what paths she wants to walk without pressure or expectation. When she no longer looks to others for validation, she begins to develop a trust in herself that is unshakable. Self-trust is a rare but powerful quality. It means making decisions without the need for constant reassurance. It means standing firm in choices without worrying about whether others approve. A woman who becomes her own best friend learns to rely on her intuition, to recognize her strengths, and to navigate challenges with confidence. Instead of questioning herself at every turn, she learns to move forward with certainty. Spending time alone can initially feel uncomfortable. Many people fill their lives with constant interaction to avoid facing themselves. They seek distractions because silence forces them to reflect. But for a woman who embraces solitude, that silence becomes a space for growth. She begins to appreciate her own company, to enjoy moments of quiet without feeling lonely. She discovers hobbies, passions, and interests that bring her joy, not because someone else introduced them, but because they genuinely resonate with her. When a woman becomes her own best friend, she also learns the importance of self-care in its deepest form. It's not just about treating herself to occasional indulgences, but truly nurturing her mental, emotional, and physical well-being. She begins to speak to herself with kindness, to set boundaries that protect her energy, and to make choices that prioritize her peace. Without external pressures, she listens to what her body and mind need, rather than what society expects of her. There is a misconception that strength comes from always being surrounded by people, but true strength is the ability to stand alone without feeling incomplete. A woman who has built a strong relationship with herself does not fear solitude. She doesn't seek validation through friendships because she has already given herself the love and approval she needs. She understands that her value is not determined by how many people surround her, but by how deeply she knows and honors herself. Being her own best friend also means learning to be her own motivator. In moments of difficulty, she doesn't wait for someone else to lift her up. She finds the strength within herself. She becomes the voice that reminds her of her worth, the force that pushes her forward when challenges arise. She celebrates her own victories, no matter how small, and finds joy in her progress, rather than seeking recognition from others. Resilience is built in solitude. When there is no one else to lean on, a woman discovers just how strong she truly is. She faces obstacles head on, not because she has no other choice, but because she has trained herself to rely on her own capabilities. She learns that she is enough, that her presence, her thoughts, her ambitions are all valid, even without external affirmation. Confidence grows when a woman recognizes her own worth without comparison. She no longer measures herself by the standards of those around her. She doesn't feel the need to compete, to fit in, or to change herself to be accepted. She walks into a room knowing that she belongs, not because someone told her so, but because she has claimed that space for herself. She moves through life with a quiet assurance that doesn't need to be loud or attention seeking. It simply exists within her. When a woman becomes her own best friend, she also develops emotional independence. She no longer depends on others to regulate her emotions or fill a void within her. She learns how to comfort herself in moments of sadness, how to inspire herself in times of doubt, and how to find happiness from within rather than from external sources. This kind of emotional stability is rare, but once achieved, it creates a foundation that no external circumstance can shake.
In a world that often prioritizes social circles and popularity, there is a misconception that having more friends equates to greater happiness and success. But the truth is, the quality of relationships matters far more than the quantity. A woman without friends is not at a disadvantage if the friendships she lacks would have been shallow, draining, or misaligned with her values. She is in fact in a position to build meaningful connections with people who genuinely understand, respect, and uplift her, rather than surrounding herself with individuals who do not contribute to her growth. Many people maintain friendships out of habit, convenience, or fear of being alone. They settle for relationships that lack depth, tolerating behaviors that do not align with their values simply because they don't want to be isolated. But a woman who chooses to be selective, who refuses to accept less than she deserves, is exercising a strength that many struggle to develop. She understands that not all connections are beneficial, and she is willing to wait for relationships that truly add value to her life. There is power in discernment. It takes wisdom and self-awareness to recognize when a friendship is no longer serving a positive purpose. Not every friend is truly a friend. Some people remain close out of convenience, others for personal gain, and some out of familiarity rather than genuine care. A woman who stands alone is in a position to evaluate relationships clearly without emotional dependency clouding her judgment. She can see who truly cares for her well-being and who simply enjoys her presence for what she provides. Energy is a precious resource, and the people in a woman's life should contribute to her peace rather than disrupt it. When she is alone, she has the opportunity to protect her energy, to avoid relationships that drain her, and to prioritize emotional well-being over social expectations. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that more friends equal a fuller life, but in reality, the wrong friendships can bring more stress, self-doubt, and negativity than solitude ever could. A woman who values quality over quantity understands that it is better to have one true friend than 100 acquaintances who disappear when times get tough. She knows that real friendships are built on trust, loyalty, and mutual respect, not on convenience, obligation, or superficial interactions. She is not afraid to walk alone rather than settle for friendships that do not align with her values. She is strong enough to wait for the right people, the ones who will stand beside her not just in moments of joy but in times of difficulty. The ability to be alone without feeling lonely is a reflection of deep self-confidence. Many people seek out friendships not because they truly connect with those individuals, but because they fear what it means to be alone. They look for distractions, validation, or company simply to avoid facing themselves. But a woman who embraces solitude recognizes that being alone is not a weakness, it is a choice, an opportunity to build a foundation of self-reliance and emotional independence. When the right friendships do come along, they are built on authenticity. A woman who is comfortable being alone does not pretend to be someone she is not just to fit in. She does not change her values, interests, or personality to accommodate others. She remains true to herself, and in doing so, she attracts people who appreciate her for who she genuinely is. These are the friendships that last, the ones that bring true joy rather than temporary validation. Protecting personal space and energy is a form of self-respect. It is easy to fall into social obligations to maintain friendships out of guilt or pressure, but a woman who prioritizes quality over quantity knows that it is okay to outgrow people. It is okay to walk away from relationships that no longer feel right. It is okay to choose peace over forced connections. This mindset allows her to cultivate relationships that are truly meaningful rather than surrounding herself with people simply to avoid the label of being alone. There is a certain freedom that comes with knowing that friendships should enhance life, not define it. A woman who does not depend on social circles for her self-worth moves through the world with a quiet confidence. She understands that her value is not determined by how many people she knows or how often she is invited out. Instead, she finds fulfillment in deep, genuine connections, in the relationships that bring meaning rather than mere presence. This level of self-awareness and strength allows a woman to set higher standards for the people she allows into her life. She is not afraid to say no to friendships that feel one-sided or unbalanced. She does not settle for relationships that drain her spirit or make her question her worth. Instead, she embraces the idea that true companionship is about mutual growth, support, and respect. And until she finds those connections, she is perfectly content standing strong on her own.
Silence has a way of revealing truths that noise often drowns out. In a world filled with constant chatter, distractions, and expectations, silence can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But for a woman without friends, silence is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It is in the quiet moments that she learns the most about herself, her thoughts, her desires, and her strength. While many seek validation and reassurance from external sources, she discovers that everything she needs to thrive already exists within her. There is a reason why people fear silence. It forces them to confront themselves, to sit with their thoughts without the filter of others' opinions. Many fill their lives with constant social interaction, entertainment, and noise to avoid facing their inner struggles. But a woman who embraces silence finds power in it. She understands that within those moments of solitude lies clarity, self-awareness, and an unshakable sense of purpose. Silence allows a woman to observe, to reflect, and to understand the world around her without distraction. It sharpens her intuition. When she is not constantly engaged in conversations, influenced by others' emotions, or weighed down by unnecessary drama, she begins to trust her own instincts. She notices patterns in people's behaviors, discerns their true intentions, and recognizes what truly aligns with her values. This level of awareness becomes one of her greatest strengths, allowing her to navigate life with wisdom rather than impulsiveness. In solitude, she develops an inner dialogue that strengthens her rather than weakens her. Many people struggle with negative self-talk, shaped by years of external criticism or comparison. But when a woman spends time alone, she has the opportunity to reshape the way she speaks to herself. She learns to replace doubt with encouragement, fear with resilience, and insecurity with self-acceptance. She becomes her own motivator, learning to lift herself up rather than relying on others to do it for her. Silence also creates space for creativity and personal growth. When the world is quiet, the mind is free to explore ideas, passions, and dreams that may have been buried beneath daily distractions. A woman without friends is not limited, she is unrestricted. She can use her solitude to cultivate skills, to dive into projects, and to pursue ambitions without the influence of external pressures. Some of the most groundbreaking ideas and greatest achievements come from those who have learned to sit with themselves and allow their minds to wander without interference. There is also a deep sense of peace that comes with embracing silence. When a woman is not constantly seeking approval or engaging in unnecessary conversations, she finds a sense of calm that others struggle to attain. She does not need the validation of others to feel secure. She does not rely on social interactions to fill an emotional void. Instead, she has built an internal world that is rich with self-acceptance, understanding, and fulfillment. Many people assume that being alone is synonymous with being lonely, but the two are vastly different. Loneliness stems from a longing for connection that is unmet, while solitude is a choice, a deliberate act of self-preservation and growth. A woman who understands this distinction no longer fears being alone. She recognizes that her worth is not dependent on how many people she surrounds herself with, but on how deeply she knows and respects herself. Silence also teaches patience. In a fast-pacing world where instant gratification is the norm, A woman who embraces solitude learns to slow down. She no longer feels the need to rush into friendships, relationships, or decisions out of fear of missing out. She understands that everything meaningful in life takes time to build, including self discovery. By allowing herself to sit in stillness, she gains a level of patience that helps her make wiser, more intentional choices. Through silence, she also learns the power of listening. When she is not constantly speaking or trying to be heard, she develops an ability to truly understand others. This skill not only strengthens her interactions with people, but also deepens her ability to understand herself. She listens to her intuition, to her emotions, and to the lessons that life is constantly teaching her. There is a quiet confidence that comes from a woman who has mastered solitude. She does not feel the need to prove herself through constant social interactions. She does not chase attention or approval. Instead, she carries herself with a calm, assured presence that speaks louder than words. Her power does not come from being the loudest voice in the room, but from being the one who listens, who observes, and who moves with purpose. Strength is not always loud. It is not always something the world immediately recognizes or praises. True strength often exists in quiet moments, in the decisions made when no one is watching, in the resilience built through solitude. A woman without friends is not weak. She is forging a path of inner power that many never dare to walk. She is learning what it means to stand alone, to face challenges without a crowd cheering her on, and to rely on herself when the world does not extend a helping hand. Life does not always provide the support we hope for. There will be moments when no one comes to rescue us, when no one reaches out with encouragement, when no one offers a comforting word. In those moments, a woman has two choices. She can fall into despair, or she can become the source of her own strength. She can teach herself to rise, to push forward, to be the one who lifts herself up when there is no one else to do it. This is where true resilience is built, not in the presence of others, but in the absence of external support. Independence is not just about being able to handle life's responsibilities. It is about emotional resilience. Many people depend on friendships to validate their feelings, to provide reassurance when they doubt themselves, to serve as a buffer against loneliness. But a woman who learns to be emotionally independent discovers a level of strength that cannot be shaken. She does not wait for someone else to tell her she is enough. She does not seek permission to be confident, to be ambitious, to be happy. She decides these things for herself, and that decision alone changes everything. Challenges come to everyone, but not everyone knows how to face them alone. Some people crumble under pressure, waiting for someone to guide them, to give them direction, to tell them what to do next. But a woman who has learned to rely on herself has already prepared for these moments. She has built the mindset needed to endure hardship. She does not break when life gets difficult because she has already trained herself to be her own source of motivation. She has learned how to push through struggles without expecting someone to carry her through them. The ability to be strong on your own is rare because it requires discipline. It requires facing fears without running to others for comfort. It requires making difficult decisions without seeking approval. It requires understanding that while connection is valuable, self-sufficiency is necessary. A woman who develops this strength does not live in fear of losing people. She does not cling to relationships out of desperation. She knows that she will be fine regardless of who stays or who leaves, because her foundation is built within herself. There is a certain kind of confidence that comes with knowing you can handle life on your own. It is not about rejecting friendships or relationships. It is about understanding that they are additions to life, not necessities. A woman who has built strength in solitude does not fear being alone. She does not lower her standards just to keep people around. She does not compromise her values to fit into spaces that were never meant for her. She moves with purpose, knowing that her worth is not defined by who surrounds her, but by the strength she has cultivated within. Many people live their lives avoiding solitude because they believe it is a sign of failure. They assume that being alone means being unwanted, unloved, but a woman who has embraced her own company knows the truth. Solitude is a place of transformation. It is where she learns what she is truly capable of. It is where she discovers her voice, her power, her resilience. It is where she realizes that she is not lacking because she stands alone. She is thriving because she has built herself from the inside out. Strength built in solitude is unshakable. It is not dependent on external circumstances. It does not waver when friendships fade or when life takes unexpected turns. A woman who has mastered this strength carries herself differently. She does not beg for attention. She does not need constant reassurance. She does not crumble when life does not go as planned. She stands firm, knowing that she has already proven to herself that she is enough. Resilience is not just about surviving, it is about thriving in the face of adversity. It is about refusing to let loneliness define you, refusing to let setbacks break you, refusing to let the absence of friends determine your happiness. A woman who builds herself up, who finds strength within rather than seeking it from others, becomes unstoppable. She learns that she is the foundation of her own success, her own happiness, her own fulfillment. And that realization is the key to a life that no longer depends on the approval, presence, or validation of others.